Now under Rick Barnes, first season coming over from Texas, and Georgia Tech still under Brian Gregory. But a new-look Tech team with Adam Smith, the transfer from Virginia Tech. At the shooting guard, they put 116 on Cornell Friday night. They scored 57 in the first half for a team that last year, under Brian Gregory, scored 63 a game. He's in his 5th season on the flats now, and they are loaded with transfers, especially in this starting 5. Get a stern test from Tennessee as we get the season started here in Atlanta. Bunner Jr. from the Bronx, and of course we've got 25 new rules changes. First and foremost, you'll notice the shot clock has been shortened early and often shots for both sides. Spin move, Armani Moore, they do everything guard, and a tip in is there.
And that's one of the things that we would expect to see from Georgia Tech, but really not from Tennessee on the offensive glass early and converting it to 2 points.
That was Derek Reese with the follow. Georgia Tech was so good on the glass last season. In fact, really, their only strength on a 12-19 season was 3 ACC wins. And now they got some size inside. And Nick Jacobs, the Alabama transfer, converts, and he'll go to the line.
And you see one of the new NCAA directives right there. Did contact on the post. And right here you see the arm bar is allowed, but once the chest goes into an offensive player, you are now violating his space. And of course, this time knocks it down. Opportunity for the and one and cashes in at the free throw line.
So 3 early for Jacobs. He had 12 in their opener against Cornell. We'll hear a lot of whistles. They're going to blow it all 94 feet. A little floater goes. Contact and one for Robert Hubbs.
And Hubbs, who did not have a great night against Asheville on Friday, now very aggressive attacking the rim, knowing how to get to a sweet spot, and rises up against a smaller Adam Smith, is able to finish, and now he has the opportunity for the and one and converts as well. And this game has gotten off to a good scoring start, something that we're not used to seeing here when you come to this game as Pavilion.
No, not at all. I mean, they almost doubled their offensive outburst in that first game against Cornell. They hit the century mark, Georgia Tech did, with more than 7 minutes left in the game. Here's Smith, the Virginia Tech transfer. He's a sharpshooter and gives it up. Heath works it inside. Jacobs is a true lefty, and he's got 5.
And I believe that's where we're going to see a steady diet of inside presence between Jacobs and Charles Mitchell. But the turnover from Tennessee is something that Rick Barnes definitely does not want to see. He knows that his team is outmanned when it comes to size. His guards have to take care of the basketball.
So Texas to the Final Four in 2003, 24 NBA picks under the direction of Rick Barnes in his 29th season as a head coach in college basketball. This looks like more of Georgia Tech from last year as Smith pulls the trigger. You see fewer ball screens. Brian Gregory was telling us today they really want to let anybody bring the ball up the floor to try to get early looks.
And they want to be able to push it. Of course, the staple of Brian Gregory's programs is defensive rebounding, but he wants those rebounds to convert into transition baskets by pushing the tempo and putting the defense on the heels.
Hunter into the paint, leaves it for Armani Moore. He'll play 4 different positions for Tennessee this year. And he backs down his man over the top of Heath. Other rule changes here. There is no closely guarded 5-second rule. George's Hunt with the feed and a reach in. It's on Reese. It's on his second. Here's some of the notable rule changes. We're talking 23 of them overall. The shot clock reduced to 30 seconds. Mentioned no 5-second closely guarded. Coaches can't call a timeout during action. The block charge arc has been moved out to 4 feet. And what we've seen already, Corey, here through one weekend of college basketball, scoring is through the roof.
It has been, and we have to mention Butler putting up 144 on Saturday night. That's not something we've seen since probably the early 90s in college basketball.
Smith off the mark. Derek Reese had to take a seat after picking up his second personal foul. Kyle Alexander checks in for Tennessee. A short Tennessee team, their average height is 6'4". An issue for them all season. Bachman leaves it to Kevin Bunner, and he gets tripped up. Bachman on the floor, and we've got a jump ball. Possession arrow to Georgia Tech. This is what they did last night. 5th most points in school history. They shot 60% from the floor. That's the best under Brian Gregory. 30 assists, Corey, against only 6 turnovers. It's 5-to-1 ratio is pretty good.
I think every coach in the country would take that ratio. We're talking 5-to-1, and again, 116 points. The most points that Brian Gregory's teams have scored here at Georgia Tech was 92. So they smashed that record. The most he's ever scored as a coach, as a head coach, is 96. So went far and beyond.
And here from Dayton, Mitchell turns it over. To put it in perspective, last year Indiana was the only other Division I team to score as many 116 against another Division I team. They did that against Mississippi Valley State. Armani Moore. Trying to leave it inside. It goes off of Tennessee. It's 3rd turnover for the Volunteers off the hands of Alexander, the freshman from Ontario, Canada.
And Armani Moore is going to have a mismatch when he has a power forward from Georgia Tech guarding him. That time, Charles Mitchell. Kyle Alexander has to be ready to go and catch that because they're going to spend a lot of time double-teaming Armani Moore, not to give him easy looks.
Tech gets it to Mitchell. He has it stripped. Stays with Tech. And now Smith with the reverse.
And that's not something you saw a lot of from Adam Smith last year, attacking the basket. But Brian Gregory challenged him to become more than a shooter.
And Punter attacking there. He was a great shooter at Virginia Tech.
He led the ACC in three-point percentage, but you see here he has more to his game than just shooting the three. And Adam Smith attacking the rim, doing a great job using the rim as an obstacle for defenders to be able to get around and able to finish.
That was the first personal foul on Charles Mitchell, 2nd team foul on Tech. Off the inbounds, Balkman off balance. Loose ball corralled by Nick Jacobs. Here comes Tech. They'll run with anybody this year. Any guard leading the way. This time, it's Marcus Georges-Hunt.
And the one constant for Georgia Tech has been Marcus Georges-Hunt over the last 3 years. But you see Tennessee is not going to put the brakes on. They're going to push it every opportunity they can. And we can see a track meet out here this evening.
Georges-Hunt for 3. And it's brought down by Alexander. So here's Armani Moore. It turns into a 3-on-2, and he gets all the way to the rim.
And if you're Georgia Tech, you have to be very wary of the fact that Tennessee has 4 guys that can push it as well. They have to get back on defense every possession.
2 shots coming for Big Nick Jacobs.
Volunteers foul charge number 3,
Robert Hubbs picks up his first. Well, the post players were more than efficient. Charles Mitchell went 10 for 11. Finished with a career high 21 against Cornell. Jacobs has another one coming his way.
Jacobs was 3rd on that list, but he may be their most dangerous scorer in the post. When they took a tour this summer, he started out with a 30-point game and, of course, averaged over 27 points a game during that tournament. So he was a guy that really stepped up big for them over the summer. They played without Marcus Georges-Hunt and Adam Smith, but he's a guy that, of course, Coach Gregory feels like he can depend on to go get them a basket on the clock.
They went down to the Bahamas on that tour. Travis Jorgensen and Ben Lammers both check in for Georgia Tech. Jorgensen gets beat, going all the way to the glass, dropping it in.
And that's just tough for anyone to guard. When you have a guard with the ability to be able to get to the rim and finish the way Punter does, but you have to pick him up so early because, of course, he's going to range when he comes across half court.
Jacobs follows his own fumble. And it's kind of what we're talking about with all these rules changes. Freedom of movement really puts the onus on the defense to try and make a play, as Lammers does there. Quentin Stevens on the floor for Tech. That will stay with Georgia Tech. Up and down already at our first timeout. It's a 2-point Yellow Jacket lead. Credibility has already been cashed in some ways. Kevin Punter reworked his shot in the offseason. You get a coach show up, say, I don't like your form, we need to break it down and start over. It takes a lot of trust.
It takes a lot of trust and a lot of hard work, but it's paid off for Punter. And speaking of paying off, Marcus Georges-Hunt, who missed the last game last year with a broken foot, looks like he's back healthy and 100% attacking the rim.
They broke his foot in the season finale here at home against North Carolina and missed their ACC tournament loss to Boston College. Balkman gives it up. Corner 3 off the mark. Nice follow. And a goaltending call will give the bucket to Dietrich Masella, his first for the sophomore from Decatur, Alabama.
And Mostella looking a little bit better. He sprained his ankle last Wednesday before their first game, and he's a guy that they're going to depend on for significant minutes this year. Only played 7 minutes in the first game out, but he's looking like he's moving much better here this evening.
Former 4-star recruit. We got a whistle inside. That's going to go against Devin Balkman, the senior from Bainbridge. Handful of Tennessee Volunteers that have ties to the Atlanta area and to the state of Georgia. Marcus Georges-Hunt takes a seat. Tyler Jackson on the floor for the first time. Quinn Stevens off the mark, and Lammers gets a handle on it. Here's White, and he gets it blocked from behind by Armani Moore. He's from Kennesaw, Georgia, and Moore lead the break.
And that's just part of Armani Moore's game. He's a guy that goes 6'4", but although only 6'4", he's a very good shot blocker. 3rd in the country last year for guys under 6'6". And more importantly, when he comes up with the ball in his hands, he can put the pressure on the defense at the other end.
First personal on Quentin Stevens, and it puts Moore at the line. Just a 62% shooter from the line last year. We've got a great night of college hoops coming your way tomorrow from the United Center in Chicago. At 7:30 Eastern, the first game of the State Farm Champions Classic. Number 2 Kentucky and number 5 Duke. Then at 10 o'clock, 4th-ranked Kansas takes on Tom Izzo's number 13 Michigan State Spartans. Coverage begins Tuesday at 7 o'clock on ESPN and also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Moore goes 1 for 2, but the ball off of Tech. It will stay with Tennessee. Down 1.
And give Tennessee a tremendous amount of credit for battling on the board. Small plays like that, getting back another possession because they're undersized in the glass. And, of course, Georgia Tech is a great rebounding team. But Rick Barnes has to be happy with the way his team is competing.
Lammers got a hand on that one, and it will be, after discussion, still Tennessee basketball. Lammers gives him some size inside, 6'10", 230 sophomore. Tennessee can't counter the size. It's going to be a challenge for Rick Barnes' squad all season long. But they're on the boards here. Mostella gets one. And lost on the sideline by Balkman. Finally back to Tech. That's the 4th turnover here in the first 6 minutes for UT. Robert Hubbs will re-enter for the Volunteers. Takes Balkman's spot. Hubbs and punter, 2 guys are going to see the floor a lot. I mean, like 37 minutes a game a lot for Rick Barnes this year.
They really will, but one thing they do have is depth on the perimeter. They have a number of interchangeable parts around 6'4", those wings, and all those guys can handle the ball and shoot. So it gives them an advantage on the offensive end at times, but it gives up a lot defensively, especially protecting the rim as we see Lammers get an easy layup because there's not a post presence inside that can compete with the size of Georgia Tech. Largest lead of the game for Georgia Tech with 3.
Another offensive rebound for Tennessee. Moore wants to post up. V. DeReese got off balance. Back out to Mostella. And now Hubbs. And White with the rebound. Slow going behind the arc. Tennessee 0 for 4. Georgia Tech 0 for 4. Just because you have a quicker clock doesn't mean the shots are necessarily going to fall. Blind shot goes off the glass and in for Robert Hubbs. White from the elbow. Tennessee wants to push. Here's Hubbs. And it'll go back to Georgia Tech. And one thing Rick Barnes wants his guards to do, they are an undersized team, but they want to run, and that is push and push. And if you can get a look or get a foul, you're going to make something happen.
Well, they don't want to have to play against set defense for opposing teams simply because of the lack of size on the interior, but they can use their speed and quickness to get easy transition points or even attack the lane and kick it out for wide open threes. That's the way Rick Barnes wants his team to be able to play. Space the floor and take advantage of every good look they can get.
Wow, nobody was on Jacobs. He wasn't aware, and he's still able to get it over the top of Reese. 9 points for Nick Jacobs.
And one of the things you also see is Georgia Tech picking up full court. Not really applying a lot of pressure, but they're just simply trying to slow down this Tennessee team. They don't want them to get a full head of steam coming full court at them, so they pick up early just to apply just a little bit of token pressure.
And with the shortened shot clock, it means Tennessee gets into its offense a little bit later.
Just like that, we look up now, there are only 12 seconds left on the shot clock, and it could be a fourth shot at this point.
Tennessee doing a great job on the glass tonight against a bigger Georgia Tech team. Wow! First three goes, and it was closely guarded, but Mostella throws it in.
And that's the difference between having a guy that just knows how to put the ball in the basket. Mostella, even though that's a tough shot, he raised up and knocked it down confidently.
No answer from Jackson, but a rebound by James White. And there's an answer.
And that's the one guy Tennessee does not want getting open looks. Adam Smith, we mentioned, led the ACC in three-point shooting percentage a year ago, but he was playing for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now here at Georgia Tech, he's brought a bit of that three-point prowess along with him to Atlanta.
He shot 42% behind the arc last year. Tech as a team shot less than 27%, the worst mark in Georgia Tech history. Jackets can't get out of their own way. White loses it after his teammate hits the floor.
Mostella takes the big shot here at the end of the shot clock, knocks it down. Much contested. However, on the other end of the floor, Adam Smith says it. Anything you can do, I can do better. All nets to give his team a three-point lead.
He's a senior from Atlanta, fifth-year senior. Played high school ball at South Atlanta alongside Tech legend Derek Favors, who was a one-and-done not that long ago. Here's Armani Moore. Wow. No whistle, and that went off the window.
I'm not sure that's the way he planned it. However, he loves the results. Armani Moore actually never left the floor on that. It was almost like a hook shot as he was about to fall down, but kissed it softly off the glass.
It's been a one-possession game all night. The team can pull away. Moore with the steal.
That's why Tennessee loves Armani Moore. He does everything. He's given up about 5 inches to Jacobs and comes up with the steal that turns into 2 points for Kevin Punch.
Heath with the feed, left a little short, but Mitchell able to pick it up and put it in. First bucket for Charles Mitchell. Had a double-double, 21 and 11 against Cornell on Friday.
Charles Mitchell's going to have his way. If he's able to get that close to the basket, he's going to finish on the inside. And that's one of the things Tennessee has to make sure they build that wall around the basket and do not allow Georgia Tech to get those easy looks on the interior.
Moore spins in and left it short. Adam Smith after the pump fake drains along 2. 7 of Tech's 24. $16 points in the paint already for Tennessee for a team that averages only 6'4". They've gotten it done with guard penetration.
They really have. That's the way they want to continue to get it done. And right there, beautiful pass from punter to McGee. And McGee, the defense for Georgia Tech, just really so concerned about the perimeter players. They leave a wide open lane for McGee to be able to finish uncontested.
Patrick Jackson passes on the 3. Has it rejected inside. Hobbs lost it for a moment. And it will stay this way.
And one thing about Tennessee, they don't have a lot of rim protectors, but they probably have the best under 6'5" shot blocker in the country. And Armani Moore coming up with his second block shot of the game and doing a great job on the defensive end, really having to battle against guys he's given away 4 to 5 inches in size, but in heart, he's definitely matching up against anyone.
The challenge for Rick Barnes is try to stagger the rest between punter and Armani Moore, because you can't afford to have both guys on the bench at the same time.
Absolutely. He talked to us about that before, and also to keep those guys out of foul trouble, because they have to be so aggressive both offensively and defensively for their team to be successful. And with the new rules, it makes it more difficult to keep guys out of foul trouble.
Heath bounces it to Mitchell inside. Power move. Moore got a piece of another one. And the Volunteers will push. Punter lost a handle on it. Smith up front. And a foul on Moore will be his first. And that's going to put Nick Jacobs back at the free throw line.
Tennessee foul charge number 4, Armani Moore, his first.
How about Armani Moore contesting everything? I mean, this guy truly thinks he's a shot blocker at 6'4". He goes after everything. He does not allow any layups to go uncontested.
Best shot blocker in this game so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little blood on the floor and on the uniform.
Got to give it up to this guy. He's played extremely hard. Not much rest at all throughout the first 11.5 minutes of this first half.
So we'll get a stoppage in play. They can clean up the floor and get Armani Moore cleaned up. With Georgia Tech on top by 1. See where that injury occurred on Armani Moore. One of the Georgia natives. He's from just up the road in Kennesaw.
You see him come up to attempt to block the shot. Have bought in. The officials have bought in, and more importantly, the officials buying into this game being called this way. The coaches have adjusted because the officials have made it certain that we're going to call it this way all year long. And the coaches have adjusted the way they're teaching their players. And honestly, instead of a foul, they're often giving up layups or uncontested shots because they don't want to get their best players in foul trouble.
One more comment from Nick Jacobs. Jim Boeheim said it best, I think. He said, listen, players are going to adapt. They will be the first ones to adapt. They're probably quicker than some of the adults will adapt. And the bottom line is the most precious thing for them is playing time and being on the floor.
Staying on the floor. And therefore, if you know you're going to get 2 fouls, you're going to have to go sit down in the first half, then you're not going to pick up that second foul. And coaches are now probably coaching their guys to give away a layup if they have to in comparison to taking that foul and having to come sit down.
Josh Heath has blood on his shorts. We assume it's blood from the cut finger of his counterpart on the other side. So stoppage in play where they try to get that cleaned up, and if they can get him back into the game immediately. A lot of changes in the rules this year in college basketball. One of them is you no longer have 60 seconds to replace a player that is disqualified or that's fouled out. So late in the game, it would drag on. Coach is able to steal a timeout. That's no longer the case.
15 seconds, that's all you get. And the one thing they've also changed is the difference between a Class A and Class B technical foul. Class B tech only gets 1 free throw, but it's to speed up the pace of the game, get teams out of the huddles faster, get guys in if they've been disqualified. And, of course, you don't never want to give away a point, but you don't want to give up that one-shot technical foul either.
3-point deficit for Tennessee. There's Reese, walked with it. Tennessee's had a hard time holding on to the basketball tonight. Already 6 turnovers in the first nearly 12 minutes of this game.
And give Georgia Tech some credit. One of the things that they had destined to do in this game, they set out to build that wall because they know that these players from Tennessee, when you start talking about Punter and Armani Moore and all the versatile guards that Tennessee has, they're going to attack the basket. That's what Rick Barnes teaches to his players. And Georgia Tech trying to build that wall. A great job on that possession defense.
Tennessee just 1 for 5 from behind the arc thus far tonight. Tech has only hit 1. That came from Smith, who's looking to get it inside. Jacobs, the southpaw. Splash. Baker's dozen for Nick Jacobs.
He's got it going. And when you look at this Georgia Tech team, and we've mentioned it before, throughout this first half, we've seen a different style of play. Coach Gertler says it's not really difference in plays or mindset. It's just guys that can put the ball in the basket. Nick Jacobs showing he's one of those guys.
Jacobs may have gotten a piece of that one playing behind Jabari McGee. So 5-point Georgia Tech, what will be more than 24 hours worth of basketball. 20 games across the ESPN networks, 13 top 25 teams, 21 from the NCAA tournament last year, and 31 consecutive hours of basketball. So even on your flight to Puerto Rico tomorrow, Corey, you can be watching more and more basketball.
I may have to do that. I have to do that. And I'll be thinking, where are you this weekend? You're somewhere cold, aren't you?
Well, yes, for basketball, I don't think Boston is going to feel anything like Puerto Rico. But a foul over the top will be on Jabari McGee. That's his first. Georgia Tech with a 5-point lead. He's got to think, this Tennessee team, Rick Barnes is in a situation where he's working with these guys for the first time. They're coming off of a 500 season last year with 7 wins in the SEC. But one of the big things that's going to be working against him will be their size. And in the SEC, that's going to be an issue for him.
That really will be an issue when you think about having to play against Kentucky and Vanderbilt and the big schools. When we're talking about the big guys inside that they'll have to deal with. But you can make guys play small ball. If your guards are good enough, when you have that power forward having to guard a small guy that can put the ball in the basket, it changes things for you. But this is where it's an issue on the offensive glass. Charles Mitchell unable to finish on that one, but that's the problem for Rick Barnes and this Tennessee team. How do they keep those big guys off the glass on the interior, especially as they get into conference play?
Lonzo Martin left 2 years ago. He's now in Berkeley, and he's got a top 25 team, number 15, in fact, going into action this weekend. Donnie Tyndall came under NCAA investigation for alleged violations at Southern Miss. That investigation continues, so he was forced out immediately. His Hubs hits a jumper, 7 for him.
That's always going to be where you have to look to attack. We talk about it, and what Rick Barnes likes to refer to as guys is that 4 guard. That's the big guard that the power forward has to defend. And you're talking about a 6'8" guy. Charles Mitchell is a very good basketball player, but it's difficult for him to guard on that other end, just like it's difficult for anyone to guard Marcus Georges-Hunt.
And then a steal by Jorgensen. He finds Smith for 3. Ripped down by McGee, but stepped down the inline, and he'll give it right back.
Now, what I did not like about that play is Georges-Hunt getting up limping. It looks like he's walking much better now, but he was favoring. Yeah, he took a hard fall. As you see him go to the basket on attack, which is great. But he comes down awkwardly on that right foot, right ankle. And he got up gingerly walking, but he's out there. Tough kid.
And we got a foul that's going to go against Georgia Tech, and that will be against James White. We think about freedom of movement. We think a lot of times about whistles coming with the on-ball defender. We're going to see a lot more whistles this year off the ball.
On screens especially. That's one of the things that they want to be able to clean up. And coaches have always taught their kids, make sure you go hit a man, go hit a man. Well, that can't happen anymore. You have to give that defender an opportunity to be able to change direction, especially if they're not in your vision, or those are going to be called offensive fouls. Again, another adjustment that college basketball coaches and players have to make.
Punter lost it, and then he lost his balance, commits the foul, and Georgia Tech's in the 1-and-1 on this side. Seeing the MO for Rick Barnes' squad, he wants his guards to go as hard as they can to the elbow to try and make something happen. That's something that, in his mind, will likely pay off with all of these whistles this season.
Now, he does feel, though, and when he has a number of guys that can put the ball on the floor and be in attack mode, it's always about moving the basketball from side to side and finding who has that mismatch, who can put some pressure on the defense, get in the paint, not always to score, but to contract that defense and kick it out for a wide open 3.
White misses the front end. Whoa! Nice save by Mostella. Nearly went into the stands, went right over Bob Kessler, Tennessee radio guy. Air ball put up on this side. Follow is there by Jabari McGee, his second bucket.
And give Tennessee a tremendous amount of credit. Continue to attack their own offensive boards and come up with second chance opportunity.
Jacobs got tied up. Mostella the other way. Tennessee trying to go on a run. The lob! And it's blocked from behind. Fantastic hustle by James White. Smith long 2. Timeout wanted by Rick Barnes. Didn't get it immediately, and now they give it to him.
And that's another one of the points when fans have thought that college basketball had turned more physical than college football really has been here over the last 20 years. But now we're starting to see that freedom of movement, and I think it's an enjoyable game. People are going to like to see it.
There's no targeting foul in college basketball. Hunter looking for the screen, and that'll be a foul against Jacobs.
That's another area where the game is going to change, because it makes it much more difficult for you to hedge screens now, because you cannot contact an offensive player at any point on the perimeter, whether it's with your hands or your body, to stop it or impede his movement. And right there, if you hedge screens, and that's a play that we saw in college basketball for years, over and over and over again. And I honestly think it may actually, change the way many teams play defense, especially when they're guarding pick and rolls.
Well, they guard it the same way this time with Mitchell, who just checked in for Jacobs after the first personal on Nick Jacobs. Armani Moore to the block. Georgia Tech doing a great job defensively tonight. Held Tennessee to 40% shooting, and now a foul on the drive.
Now, again, on your perimeter, when you're on the perimeter, you cannot touch an offensive player and reroute him from going to the basket. You cannot knock him off of his path.
Okay, so what are your options?
Your options are to try to beat him to a spot and put your hands straight up in the air and wall up. But again, the game and the directive was made for freedom of movement, to allow offensive players to be able to move with freedom, and it's going to increase scoring and the possessions in the game.
Mitchell with the rebound. Here's Travis Jorgensen. A little strong that time, out of the hands of Todrick Jackson. There are some areas where the defense gets the benefit of the doubt. McGee flushes it home. You mentioned the arm bar before. So helping the post defenders with more body contact. McGee jumps the pass. And it rolls off. And the gregarious Mitchell all smiles as he pulls it back down. Maybe the best personality in the ACC.
Oh, he's definitely one of them. He's a guy that's a lot of fun to be around, and that's just a small example of it. Guy misses a layup, and he comes back down the court laughing and smiling about it.
Transfer from Maryland. Wanted from Jorgensen, and now we get an illegal screen. It was Travis Jorgensen on the move after he gave it up. And that'll be the first on Jorgensen. 3-point game here on the flats at Georgia Tech. Barnes has had some issues with the officials here early tonight, and an extended conversation as we await play to get restarted. Tim Clougherty, Joe Lindsey, and Jamie Luckey own the whistles this evening. Moore short. Follows another short one. The challenge you talked about, keeping these guys fresh, and we're just 2 games into the season. Anxious to see how he manages their minutes once they get into the heart of conference play.
Well, and more importantly, they can't defend the way that Rick Barnes really wants to, solely because he doesn't have the depth in the backcourt. But look at it. There have been 4 offensive rebounds alone on that trip for Tennessee. These guys are all over the offensive glass. They haven't been able to do as good a job defensively, but they're staying in this game because of what they've been able to do in the paint against a much larger Georgia Tech team.
Ray Kasongo just checked into the game. Sophomore junior college transfer from Canada, was ineligible for the first game for Tennessee because of amateur issues while at College of Southern Idaho. Tennessee misses another one from point-blank range. Kasongo will give them some size inside. 6'8", 245, but he can't get his hands up on the turnaround from Jacobs, who has 15 tonight.
And Jacobs really has been the difference, because outside of what he's been able to do, Tennessee has had this game going in the manner they wanted to go. They don't have an answer for Nick Jacobs on the interior, but they're getting what they want done offensively. They had a number of opportunities where they've just been unable to finish, but a great pass by Armani Moore there. Again, attacking those elbows, getting in the lane, and putting so much pressure on that Georgia Tech defense.
Second personal foul on Adam Smith. And Ray Kasongo will go to the free throw line. Gregory's team was fantastic on the glass and with interior defense last season. It's been a head scratcher tonight.
But Tennessee has put that pressure on. Their guards have found their way to the rim at will, and because they get it out of the, even off of scores, they push so quickly. And Armani Moore, his ability to be so versatile and the scoring in the paint, and then you've got such good passes. McGee able to finish off of another interior pass, and Tennessee's numbers, 24 points in the paint already in this game. And these free throws count as points in the paint as well, because they, attacking the way they are. So when you look at that, that's not something we were anticipating seeing. Everybody thinks because they want to get up and down the floor that they're going to shoot and make a lot of threes. But really, it's the way they attack the rim to get easier baskets in comparison to shooting a bunch of three-point shots.
Another issue with blood on the uniform of Nick Jacobs. He gets it cleared up, and Kasongo, the JC transfer, will try to knock down the second of 2. It's 0 for 2 from the line, and Mitchell brings it down. Here's Josh Heap. Mitchell height advantage. And Armani Moore is going to draw the foul. The motion there was an arm bar foul from Joe Lindsay. I think you described it earlier. You can establish the arm bar, but once you extend it, it's going to draw a whistle.
Absolutely, and that's the second foul on Armani Moore, which is probably more detrimental for this Tennessee team. You see right there, he can put the arm bar on, but once he extends, at that point, it now becomes a foul. It doesn't seem like much. However, one of the emphasis that college coaches talk to the officials about is cleaning up post play. That's a great example of it right there. Once that arm is extended, it now becomes a foul, especially as the offensive player turns away and they're no longer back facing the defender.
Mitchell knocks them both down. You have a feeling that maybe officials are going to have to get adjusted to some of these rules too?
I do believe that is going to be the case. The officials will have to adjust to it. And you've got guys who've been doing this for, 20-plus years. Jamie Luckey, a very veteran official here in this game alone. He has to change everything that he's really done for the past 20 years in order to be able to officiate this game. But they have a lot of leaders amongst the officials when you talk about, especially in the ACC, guys that I know of, that are going to be able to come out here, and they are on board to make these changes because they also feel, though, it's better for the game.
That was the first personal on Josh Heath. Lindsay hands it off to Armani Moore. Started 32 games last year for Tennessee. Thursday at 7 Eastern, we've got the Gildan Charleston Classic as part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's on ESPNU. Highlighted by Dan Munson's Long Beach State 49ers against super sophomore Isaiah Whitehead at Seton Hall in the quarters. Game also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Busy day for Armani Moore. He did a little bit of everything in the opener for Tennessee. 12 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, a couple blocks, a steal, and he's through 2 charges.
He's looking at Coach Barnes like, why are you taking me out? But he doesn't realize he has 2 fouls, and his coaching staff is trying to protect him. He thinks he has 1. He got 1 just now on the post, but he got the other one going up with a block shot. He has 2 fouls. He was trying to sell his coaching staff on the fact that he only had 1.
They'll get a minute and a half of rest and then halftime.
Honestly, I think if they get a dead ball, they'll put him back in for offense. But Charles Mitchell having his way on the block now, and that has been the strength of Georgia Tech in this game. Between Mitchell and Jacobs, they've been able to get it done in the paint, but these Tennessee guards have kept their team within striking distance.
19 points between the two, Mitchell and Jacobs. And Mitchell leading the way with 7 boards. Estella for 3. Second made 3 of the night for Tennessee. He's got both of them.
And he's a guy that can do that. Started off his career big numbers, but right there for Tennessee, they've got to get back and build that wall. Nick Jacobs, another easy basket, and he's put up a big-time first half for the Ramblin' Wreck.
He's got 17 points this half. McGee with the ball fake. Got to the glass. Shot clock is off. Georgia Tech leads by a deuce. Let's see this barrel. Actually setting up an offense. Josh Heath running the point. Looking for George's Hunt. Here he is. A 3 contested. Heath's got it. They can't get the shot off. They got a good look with George's Hunt. Couldn't knock it in after the offensive rebound.
They really do, and they've got one special horse on the interior, a transfer from Alabama. Nick Jacobs is getting the job done, turning over that left shoulder with the soft touch. Again, the jump hook over the right shoulder, and now he's able to finish pretty much any way he wants to in the basket. But Tennessee does not have the size to contend with them, but one thing they have to do is get back and run. Otherwise, he finishes just like that.
Jacobs, a transfer from Alabama. His career high is 23. He poured that in against Drexel a few years ago. And Anthony Grant now with the Thunder and his assistant coach in the NBA is wondering, where was this Nick Jacobs? The capstone.
Avery Johnson could be wondering that same thing this year.
Is there a new crop of coaches in the SEC or what? Follow nothing doing there. And Mitchell lost a handle on it. Rick Barnes, one of a handful of new coaches in the SEC. Here are the numbers from the first half. Neither team shot the ball well from deep. But 9 assists in the first half for Georgia Tech tonight. They had 30 in their opener. Quick inbound, and Armani Moore's got another bucket. He's got 8.
And more importantly, those points in the paint for Tennessee have kept them in the game. You mentioned only 2 3-pointers made, but they have been more productive in the lane, honestly, than Georgia Tech has at this point.
Mitchell backs down his man. Beautiful touch on the jump hook over the top of Moore.
But what you also see was Moore just basically back up and put his hands up. There's really not much he can do. With 2 fouls, he doesn't want to pick up a third early, and then so that he can stay on the other end and attack. But that time, shot a little wide left. Charles Mitchell doing a great job defensively.
Transition 3 off the rim. Out of the hands of Adam Smith, and is rebounded by Robert Hubbs. 3 the other way. Brought down by Nick Jacobs. Josh Heath, that Stan, formerly the head coach at South Florida, now assistant coach with Jim Christian at Boston College, running the point for Georgia Tech tonight. Jacobs faked one way, went the other. And it's went off of Georgia Tech. It'll be Tennessee basketball.
But you see Rick Barnes making the adjustment. Now Jacobs catching the ball in the post. They're going to send another man. They're going to double team him, trying to get it out of his hands. That time it forced a quick shot. He rushed it a bit. Tennessee comes up with a defensive stop.
One possession game. Tennessee trailing by 2. Georgia Tech knows the heartbreak and close losses all too well. 15 losses in the conference last year, 10 of them were possession games or lost in overtime. Jacobs with the block. Tried to push it, and it ends up in the hands of Moore. Beautiful bounce. And the finish inside by Hubbs.
And that's what Rick Barnes wants to see from his team. He wants them to be scrappy, come up and get deflections and loose balls because they're undersized. They have to play that way. And now they're able to tie this game up because of their scrappiness.
Mitchell puts Tech back in front.
He can do that. That's one of the elements that Charles Mitchell has added to his game. He's able to step out and knock down the 17 to 18-foot shot.
That one finds a home out of Hunter's hand. Remember, he had 31 in their opener. Just 6 so far tonight for the junior from the Bronx.
But he continues to put that pressure on the defense. Even after a made shot, Tennessee will run and try to catch you sleeping off guard and see if they can get an easy look at the rim.
George's Hunt follows his own miss. Jacobs tries one. And here come the Vols. Rick Barnes says, go, go, go. Armani Moore does hit one. Second personal on Charles Mitchell.
Unbelievable play by Armani Moore, probing initially and then that burst at the end, using his strength to finish through the contact. Charles Mitchell, of course, is not a small guy. He's extremely strong. But that time, Armani Moore winning the battle and able to finish with the opportunity for the and-one.
That's a foul this year, last year, the year before that, a couple years before that.
Yeah, that's pretty much a consistent foul throughout the game.
3-point opportunity for Moore is,
hey, how did they get here?
They're everywhere.
This is very true.
11 for Moore, largest lead once again for Tennessee. It's at 3. White re-entered, Stevens on the floor, Lammers now on the floor for Georgia Tech, along with Heath and Todrick Jackson. Ball in his hands. White, a little deep for him. Tennessee coaches have more than one word in the vocabulary, but the most popular word is go.
Run, attack. That's it.
Too much for Lammers. Eighth turnover for Georgia Tech. Well drawn up. Devin Balkman's first 3.
And that's when Tennessee gets really dangerous, when they have guys that are able to step out and knock down the three-pointer. Now you also have to pay so much attention to that drive, and you loosen up on the exterior, and guys are able to step up and knock down shots.
Jackson off the mark. Bachman will push it. Numbers for the Orange, and that one lost, but it will stay with UT. Tennessee with its largest lead of the game, thanks to the three from Devin Bachman. And it's the Volunteers up 6.
High school teammate Kyle Alexander here. Both those guys started together at Orangeville Prep under my guy Larry Blunt, the head coach up there, and their team is all tuned in watching their guy Kyle play in this one tonight.
There's more coming from Orangeville Prep. Thon Maker's a 7-footer. Bill Self is by to watch him Friday night. Speaking of Kansas. Dan Lammers commits his first personal. Tennessee has scored 12 of the 16 points scored since the half. Looking to add to that as Kevin Punter goes to the free-throw line. That was a career high for him last game in their win against UNC Asheville. 3 different Volunteers set their career highs in the win. Punter's got 7. And the lead is 7. Smith off the curl. He's one of those fun shooters to watch because he doesn't have to be perfectly set. I know his coaches would prefer him to be.
But he can get hot in a hurry, no question about that. There's had games where he's put up big numbers in the ACC.
He single-handedly knocked off Pitt last year at Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg. Hit game-tying 3 at the buzzer. At the end of the game, hit the game winner to beat the buzzer in overtime against Jamie Dixon's squad. Georges Hunt leads it short. Hubbs has it. Here comes Tennessee. Volunteers on a 9-0 run. And another whistle.
And coaches always talk about the importance of the first 5 minutes of the second half. And for Tennessee, they got the message from their coach, Rick Barnes. These guys stay in attack mode. Hunter Jr. going to the rim, Amani Moore going to the rim. And then Bachman knocking down the 3, extending that lead to 6. And Tennessee is so dangerous if they're able to knock down those 3-pointers because you have to pay so much attention to their guys attacking the basket.
Hubbs tried to draw the foul, misses both shots. Offensive board for the Volunteers. Shot clock did not reset. He did not hit the rim either attempt. Shot clock at 5. McClung says Punter to go. And he beats the buzzer. Kevin Punter's starting to get hot here in the second half.
And the shot clock really hasn't been relevant much in this game, but the 2 times it has gotten low for Tennessee, they've come up with big buckets both times.
Brian Gregory uses a timeout. Adam Smith had committed his 3rd personal foul.
At home watching us, of course, you know, he has to be. Anytime Rick Barnes is on TV, Dickey's going to be watching. And so I had to make sure I got a shout out to my guy. He often gets forgotten about with all the Kevin Durant's and TJ Fords.
That's nice of you to help him out. There's a follow tip from Nick Jacobs. He's got 19 now, 4 off of his career high. Barnes parlayed that tournament one at Providence to go to Clemson, where then he went nose-to-nose with Dean Smith a couple of times. That's where he really started to get the national attention while winning at Clemson. Traded in one shade of orange for another, and then still another. And a step on the end line will keep it this way.
You know, you talk about the nose-to-nose with Dean Smith, but he had so much respect for Dean Smith. And you heard him talk about today how, you know, Dean Smith and Bobby Knight, those guys, as they got older, became offensive geniuses. You know, they were known for their defense, became such geniuses offensively. And just hearing him talk about how much respect he had for Dean Smith. But everybody just talks about the fact that he actually would go to words with Dean Smith. He's a tremendous competitor, no question about it.
Costello tries to whip it inside. The topic, as we were talking with Rick today, was he's like, listen, I'm trying to protect my guys. Jorgensen misses transition 3. So they wanted freedom of movement. They wanted everything wide open. He said, we kind of had to physical it up a little bit. Here's Hubbs with an air ball.
I can remember his teams at Clemson. They were like bodybuilders out there playing basketball.
Georges Hunt crosses over and gets to the rim. He's got 8. 5-point game. Moore slides through. Bachman has it blocked. Stolen right back. And a blocking foul against Georgia Tech and Nick Jacobs.
The crowd does not like it. However, there's the difference in that 4-foot arc, because when you look at it, Jacobs does a great job getting in position. However, when you see it, he moves and those feet are clearly inside that arc. That is going to be a block every time. Last year, that is a charge. This year, it's a block. The officials right on point got it correct.
So Armani Moore to the free throw line.
Substitution number 23, Garrett Place.
It was a 3-foot arc last year, a 4-foot arc this year. Another one coming for the senior from Mount Perrin Christian out of Kennesaw, Georgia. He knocks them both down.
I'm sure he's got a few fans in the stands here today.
Yeah, there's some orange sprinkled in.
The Tennessee contingent is, definitely represented here.
Tech has missed its last couple threes. On the night, just 1 for 14 from deep. Ryan Gregory's team, not a good three-point shooting team last year. He thought he solved that when Adam Smith transferred in from Virginia Tech.
Teddy Jackson as well. He's got a number of guys that can knock it down, but they haven't really been able to get on track tonight. Jorgensen, a capable three-point shooter, but right now, Tennessee has the momentum rolling in their favor.
Hubbs deep. Back rimmed it. And it's Jorgensen who rips it down. He'll push it, but taken away by Moore. Moore tried to thread it all the way across the court. Todrick Jackson pays the dividends.
We've seen Armani Moore come back for that steal a number of times today. That time he just got a little too tricky with that play. That was a very difficult pass to try to complete.
Corner three. And here comes Georges Hunt. Off to Jackson. Finger roll. Pair of second half buckets for Jackson. Rick Barnes gets the timeout.
Barnes comes out the timeout because now his team really needs a bucket. Who gets their hands on the basketball and who can he depend on to get his team a basket when they're in dire straits?
Last 8 trips for Tennessee, 0 for 6 from the floor and a turnover. Moore hit 2 free throws with the only points in that span. It's led to an 8-2 run for Tech. This is Kevin Punter. And now Mostella. Vols lead by 3. Here's Moore, their do everything guy. Backs it in. Kisses too strong.
That's tough when you're 6'4" and you're trying to post a guy that's really goes about 6'8", 255, and Charles Mitchell. Mitchell is probably going to win that battle most of the time, but Rick Barnes has so much trust in Armani Moore, he still continues to go through that motion.
Marcus Georges Hunt buries the long 2.
And that's the guy, if you're Georgia Tech, you have to be able to depend upon to get you a basket. You're a senior, you're a captain. Guys have scored over 1,150 points in his career.
Stolen away by Charles Mitchell, the big fella. Oh, couldn't hit the buddy. Grabs his knee and Georges Hunt draws a foul. It's a second personal on Kevin Punter.
Now, Mitchell was the one smiling when the guy he was defending missed the layup earlier, but no smiles on this one. Does a great job defensively coming up with the steal and an opportunity for the highlight, but just catches a flat tire on the way up. Now there's a smile. There's my guy. He knows I'm talking about him over here, too. I'm going to see him after the game on that one.
Georges Hunt hits the first. McGee returns for Tennessee. White back on the floor for Tech as Mitchell gets a breather.
Great job by Marcus Georges Hunt, not giving up on the play either. A lot of times guys see their teammate out in front going up for a dunk, and they just stop running. Georges Hunt continued to pursue the basketball and comes up with the offensive rebound and an opportunity to get 2 at the line.
Rattles the second one home as it does it now for Georges Hunt. Tech back in front by 1. Shot clock now 5. Into the paint block. White got a piece of it. Here comes Tech. Numbers for the Jackets. Jackson left it for Jacobs. Dietrich Mostella with the foul.
How about the spark that Jackson has been? A beautiful dime, dropping it off with Jacobs, allowing his big fella to finish it on the break. We could possibly see that. Maybe if he'd have dunked it, that might have been the SportsCenter top 10.
It would have been hashtagged for sure.
But still, it definitely was a dime drop right there.
Jacobs misses a chance for a three-point play. Georgia Tech up by 3. 10-0 Yellow Jacket run. Stolen away, Jorgensen. A late whistle on the bump will go against Robert Hubbs III. It's the second on Hubbs and Jorgensen to the line. Well, the momentum has swung back and forth in this game.
It's cliche, and you hear it all the time. Basketball is a game of runs. Tennessee had an 11-0 run earlier in the second half, as it looks like Kevin Punter is cramping up, coming off the court. Still has to fall under the instruction of Rick Barnes, though. Regardless of what you have going on with your body, you still need to hear what Coach says to you. And now an opportunity right there, but 2 missed free throws by Jorgensen. Georgia Tech on a 10-0 run now to reclaim the lead by 3, but giving away opportunities at the free throw line.
You see the runs each squad has gone on in the second half. And a foul on Adam Smith, trying to get around the screen. That is his 4th personal. So Smith, looking back towards the bench, he's like, you don't want me to stay in this game, do you? He'll be replaced by Quentin Stevens. Moore trying to post up Todrick Jackson. Help comes, he spins away from it. Hubbs, no. Another offensive rebound. And the loose ball will be a jump ball. Tennessee trying so hard to try and find some room inside. You see Punter getting work from the athletic training staff.
Yeah, that's cramps right there, buddy. These guys play a lot of minutes. When you think about Punter and Martin Moore, those guys are putting in a lot of energy and effort. When you have to play like this offensively and then get back defensively, it expends a lot of energy. And right now it's coming out from the standpoint of, Punter not being able to be out there with his teammates because he's cramping up. I believe they lost Hubbs to cramps in their first game. At the end of the game, came with a big block shot, but then had to go to the bench because of cramps. Didn't play anymore in their game for about a minute and a half.
Georgia Tech had the possession arrow, but they turn it over.
And Georgia Tech has now missed 3 free throws and a turnover in their last couple possessions. And, of course, even though they're on that run, these are times where you have to be able to put a team away, because if you allow Tennessee to stick around, it only takes 1 3 to get them back into this game and tie it up, and they get that momentum going back in their favor.
Over 4 minutes since Tennessee scored, then the drought will continue on the turnover by Hubbs. Pardon me, by Moore.
And Moore was sitting there looking at the bench complaining. And Tennessee very fortunate they didn't give up a basket right there, because he pushed it right past the defense.
That's offensive. And it'll go against Hubbs. It's his 3rd.
And a great job by Jacobs right there, stepping up and just putting his body on the line, clearly outside the arc. And you see that shoulder drop by Hubbs. Jacobs takes it right into the gut. Knows when to go down and picks up the offensive foul.
So Georgia Tech is still technically on a nice little run here. They've been sloppy with it. You mentioned in his free throws, the turnovers. Georgia's Hunt straightaway 3. That's off the mark. They've allowed Tennessee some windows. The Volunteers can't take advantage. McGee, yes.
And for all the work that Georgia Tech has done, they give up an easy basket to McGee, and now it's a one-point game once again. This is the point of a game where Georgia Tech, if they're unable to get this one, walk away with the win, they could be kicking themselves because they've had opportunities here their last few possessions to really increase the space between them and Tennessee.
That'll be a blocking foul against Jabari McGee, his second personal foul off the drive from George's Hunt. George's Hunt, the senior from College Park, to the line. We've got a great night of college hoops for you from the United Center in Chicago Tuesday on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern. The first game of the State Farm Champions Classic. Number 2 Kentucky and 5th-ranked Duke. Then at 10, number 4 Kansas and 13th-ranked Michigan State. Coverage begins Tuesday at 7 on ESPN and also streaming live on Watch ESPN. So Mike Krzyzewski returns to his hometown with the 5th-ranked team in the nation and perhaps the best recruiting class in the nation.
I'd say they're pretty good. However, the team they're playing against is really good.
Grayson Allen, who's been the superstar for Duke through the first 2 games, the second best scoring outburst for the first 2 games under Mike Krzyzewski, putting his name with legends. Only Johnny Dawkins has been off to a better start.
Clearly the legend there.
Really 3 straight for Allen, you think about it. Great job he did in the Final Four last year.
The NCAA championship game, he came up huge. He saved the Blue Devils in that game.
Ball knocked away. Balkman corrals it, fires a 3, and Mitchell finds the rebound. Tech by 3. Here's George's Hunt has a block. Follow jam. And we got a foul before the jam. Well, physical play. Jabari McGee went up for the block. He ends up getting whistled for his 3rd personal foul. We'll tell you all about it, but here's an early look. McGee swats it, and everybody hits the floor here.
And take advantage of these opportunities they're getting right now, and that starts with Marcus George's Hunt knocking down free throws, especially here as we get close to the end of the game.
It seemed like late in game situations last year for Georgia Tech. They just didn't have somebody to go to who could knock down an open shot or get to the rim.
And this has to be Marcus George's Hunt. I mean, he's a senior. He's a guy that's really, he's moved into a 1,000-point club. He's moving up the list, but right now goes and misses 2 free throws at a crucial time. And that right there, I believe that a couple people upset about, because it looked as though someone grabbed the net.
Yeah, it should have been basket interference on Georgia Tech instead of put back for James White. Tennessee just 5 of 10 from the free throw line in the second half. Or probably Georgia Tech 5 of 10. Mostella draws the foul on Josh Heath. It's the second personal on the junior from Tampa, Florida. And the clock will stop. 6th foul on Tech.
You mentioned Mostella in the first half. You can see he's grimacing a little bit. He sprained his ankle with what they're calling a mild sprain on the Wednesday before their Friday game against UNC Asheville. And he came out in the first half moving around pretty well, but when you go to halftime and you got to sit down a little bit, that ankle can stiffen up, and you can see he's not moving as well as he was early, and you see him grimacing a little bit on his face, but still gutting it out for his team. There's not a lot of depth for Tennessee, and Coach Barnes needs every one of these guys really at full strength, but he's getting whatever he can out of Mostella.
Quentin Stevens thought about the 3. Mitchell up top. White hesitated. Another board for Tech. Swing to George's Hunt. Got it! Just the second 3 of the night for Georgia Tech, but a huge one for Marcus George's Hunt. And now Tennessee trying to right the ship. Largest lead of the game for Tech. Backing his man down. We got an armbar foul on Marcus George's Hunt.
And we talked about that with both coaches earlier today. And when it goes back to the rule changes and where any player can dribble there's no 5-second count. So if you've got a big, strong guard, they can pretty much do this at any point. And now you see Marcus Georges-Hunt. He put that arm out. There's the arm bar, but the arm was extended earlier before he got into the post zone. That was slow motion. The foul was actually earlier when he put his hand on Amani Moore earlier.
But it's called an arm bar, but in reality, that whistle is more of a hand check.
That's more of a hand check on the perimeter because you're not considered in the post until you get within the 3 feet, which is basically a foot outside of the post-up line, so out of the free throw line.
Yeah, kind of the NBA lane, if you want to think of it like that. That limits where the arm bar is legal. Offensive rebound for Tennessee off the missed free throw. But who can find a bucket for the Volunteers? They have been ice cold. Moore left it short. White brought it down.
At this point, you almost have to wonder, are Moore's legs gone? He's expended a lot of energy in this game. He's spent a lot of time on the court and done so many good things. But does he have enough legs left in him right now to be able to finish at the basket, especially over those bigger Georgia Tech defenders?
Amani Moore is only 4 of 18 from the floor in this game. Jabari McGee commits his 4th personal foul. So Moore is a guy that they lean on to do so much stuff. They need him to be versatile.
Especially when you still have Punter on the bench, you know, working on the cramps, still not back out there on the court, able to go out there and help out his teammate, and now Moore picking up his 4th foul. They can definitely not afford to lose him over this last 5:41.
It was McGee who picked up his 4th. Sorry, Armani Moore with his 2nd person. He's got 2 right now. Rebound by Huggs. McGee stays in the game with 4. Huggs, no. Another offensive rebound. Finally a bucket. It comes from Balkman. That ends a 1 for 14 skid. And still they're only down 5. Now Mitchell powers into the lane.
Strong move by Charles Mitchell, taking advantage of the smaller defender. And instead of backing down, he just went quickly. Beautiful touch of coming across the lane.
Armani Moore going to isolate, and that's an offensive foul. Armani Moore's got to be careful here. It's his 3rd.
And you see Amani Moore here. Watch the right arm extend. It didn't extend much, but it did extend. And he's feeling as though that can't be a foul. However, at any point, if you displace an opponent, it is an offensive foul or a defensive foul, regardless as to who does the action. And that is another one of the directives from the NCAA this year, and the officials have to make that call. Not everyone likes it, but however, the guys out here in the black and white are doing their job. They've been instructed to call that, and not only just call it tonight, at the beginning of the year, call it all season long.
And as part of the balance that we talked about earlier, there are a lot of advantages to the offense now. The 25 new rules in play this season in college basketball. There are a handful of rules that help out the defense, that being one of them. Shot clock is at 6. Here's Heath, whips it corner 3. Jackson, too strong, but Mitchell is waiting. Tapped away. Here comes Balkman. Devin Balkman has 7. Still a 5-point deficit for Tennessee. Offensive the other way. That goes against Mitchell. He returns the favor to Moore. 3rd on Charles Mitchell. We got a great one coming down the stretch here on the flats. Georgia Tech trying to hang on to a 5-point lead. Kind of flipped it in nonchalant, like that's how good an athlete this guy is.
Unreal
Plays
athlete.
above the rim.
Unreal athlete. Maybe probably the best in college basketball this year.
It'll be fun to watch. Johnny Jones has a loaded freshman class, and the PMAC going to be jumping tonight and all season down in Baton Rouge. Balkman, 3, no. Rebounded by Georges-Hunt. Tennessee, 3 of 13 from deep. Illegal screen on Mitchell. That's the fourth on Charles Mitchell. Nick Jacobs returns, replaces Mitchell. Travis Jorgensen back on the floor.
And that's another one of the directives this year. You have to be stationary in that screen. Charles Mitchell moving on that one. Clearly a foul. Another looked like block shot by Ben Jacobs, but actually it does become a block shot. I'm sorry, by Nick Jacobs on that one. Amani Moore pushing the ball down the floor quickly. Thought he had an easy one. Jacobs coming up with another play, saving his team a basket.
11th block for Georgia Tech tonight. Hubbs guarded by Jorgensen. Shot clock at 6. Turned him around and rolled it home.
And Hubbs has been huge for Tennessee tonight. He's been their most prolific offensive player. Punter really hasn't been able to get back into it after going to the bench after the cramps. He's on the court, but you can tell he's not the same. And Amani Moore hasn't been able to get the shots to fall, but Hubbs has really stepped it up for the ball.
Georgia's Hunt slides through. White can't finish. Missed 2 follows. It ends up on the floor where it's ripped away by Tennessee before it's thrown back up and in by Nick Jacobs. Career high 23 for the Alabama transfer. That sequence a great example of what this game has been like for both sides. Just a scramble on both ends of the floor all evening. Hubbs behind the screen. Shot clock at 2. Got it! Amani Moore feeling it now. He's got 16. It's a 2-point game.
And he struggled to make shots, but none bigger than that one. Amani Moore coming up with a huge basket now to get his team within 1 possession.
Those are the Tennessee fans you hear. More for them to cheer about. Amani Moore from deep to beat the buzzer.
And a huge bucket by Amani Moore, the senior, stepping up, coming home to his home state of Georgia and making the biggest shot of the night for the Volunteers.
17 for Moore. The team as a whole has hit just 3 of 13 from behind the arc, with the exception of Moore's shot clock beater. And Kevin Punter fighting cramps. Goes to the free throw line, has a chance to tie it. 69% from the line last year. Mitchell return. He's playing with 4 fouls as White takes a seat.
You've got Punter fighting cramps. Amani Moore is now stretching out his calf.
Punter misses them both. With a chance to tie. Georgia's Hunt cut off on the baseline. Jorgensen lets it fly. And it's brought down by Tennessee's Derek Reese. 2 to tie, 3 for the lead. Hubbs, no whistle, taken away by Georgia's Hunt. They need to foul now. Punter trying to direct one of his teammates to do it.
There's about an 8-second difference in the shot clock. Rick Barnes is not going to foul. He's going to make them have to take a shot and see if his team can get it back. Only down 1 possession.
Adam Smith, threat from deep. No, Reese has it. Timeout, Tennessee.
I like the gamble by Rick Barnes. Put the onus on his defense. They come up with the stop. Now he can draw up something offensively to see if he can get something.
Tennessee just 4 of 14 from deep. Barnes got to hurry. Bachman for the win. 2